I'm still not used to sitting down in front of my shelves and like having this nice background. I'm still not used to it. Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today. And for this video, we are going to be doing a book haul for the third quarter of the year. Just realized I said book haul, but not book unhaul. I will be doing a little bit of both. But before we get into anything bookish, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below, as well as tell me in the comments what was the last book you got rid of. Okay, so for the third quarter of the year, I have amassed quite a nice number of books. Let's really hope I don't drop any of these. Oh, I can't go any further back, but it keeps going. Thankfully, however, I have also unhauled quite a few books when I was building my bookshelves. I'll put a link to that video over there if you are interested in watching that happen. Let's just jump right in. Some of these books I've actually read already, so if I have read them and posted a review, I will put a link to it in the cards or in the description down below. So first up is 𝗖cie by Sarah Hogle. I am currently, when filming this, nearly done with this baby. This is a forced proximity romance in which our main character Maybelle ends up being gifted this mansion and nearly 300 acres of land from her great aunt who's recently passed away. Maybelle quits her terrible job, moves out from her shared apartment, and decides she is going to start a new life for herself at this glorious mansion, only to come upon it, see it is incredibly dilapidated. Oh, and also she has shared ownership along with the groundskeeper Wes, who just so happens to be the face of the man who was utilized to catfish her in the past. That was a complicated start, but guys, this book is so dang sweet. There's a line in here. Let me find it real quick. "Tonight is sweeter than frosting on a cake, and anybody watching us probably got a secondhand toothache." That describes me reading this book because good lord, it is so precious. Wes is like the cutest new book boyfriend ever. I highly recommend this already. It's also just filled with tons of laughs. I'm really enjoying it. Next is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. I bought this when I was already nearly done with the book that I had taken from the library when I was reading for my Pirates 5x5. I just fell in love with this book. It is a Little Mermaid retelling in which the Ariel character is a siren who is known for killing princes, and then the Eric character is a prince who is known for killing sirens. Oh, it was so good. I really enjoyed this. It just has such a creepy, nostalgic feel, and that's such an odd combination, but I just loved it, and the characters were so entertaining and really dynamic. I enjoyed watching the two build a friendship and then eventually develop it into a relationship. The ending fight scene is such a fun ride. Yes, this one now has a spot on my favorites shelf, so clearly I definitely recommend it. I also have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I was not planning to pick this one up, but Target was having a sale. This story is following Pip, who has made her senior project a crime which has already been solved. In said crime, a young girl went missing and then her ex-boyfriend ended up dying, and everyone assumed the ex-boyfriend did it. However, Pip is not convinced. I read this for my mystery 5x5 and also fell in love with it. This was fascinating. It was fast-paced. I could not put the book down. It was really hard to make time to actually film that update because I just wanted to keep reading. It was addicting like that. At that same Target sale, I also picked up Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Suntanto, obviously because there's still a sticker on it. This, I think, is a mix between a second chance romance and like a cozy mystery in which our main character goes on a date with a guy. It goes horribly. He ends up dying and she calls her aunts to try and help her. All at the same time, they also run a wedding planning business and are trying to plan out what is going to be the biggest wedding they've done ever. And then I think her ex-boyfriend from college ends up coming in as well. I've heard great things about this. I've heard it's really entertaining. It already got picked up for a movie on Netflix. I cannot wait for this one. I'm really excited to get into it. The final book I bought while at Target was Dead Dead Girls by 𝗖cie sais_희𝘁, and this one is a Harlem Renaissance mystery in which our main character gets wrapped up in the police, unfortunately, and is forced into trying to solve this mystery of, I think, a serial killer? That might not be right. Actually, yes, it could be a serial killer because one girl has recently died and two have already died, so that passes 3, technically a serial killer. I haven't heard a lot about this, but literally seeing the cover was enough to make me want to pick it up. Oh, I just realized I actually bought 𝗖cie when I went into a Barnes & Noble and realized they were having a half-off sale, which is also when I got To Kill a Kingdom for half off. In the same sale, I also picked up Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I don't know a lot about this, but it's been pitched as lesbian necromancers in space. I've heard fairly good things across the board. It's a bit on the bigger side, but I'm terribly intrigued about this. I've been wanting to pick it up since I saw it at Half Price Books like 2 years ago, and the cover is just so badass. I really want to start this baby, but I think it's actually already been converted from a trilogy to a quartet, and only the first 2 books are out, which is one unfortunate aspect of it. Oh wait, actually no, I didn't buy this in the buy one get one. I just bought this in general. These were the buy one get one, and then the next 2 were the buy one get one. Okay, yep. That doesn't matter to anyone but me, but yeah. In that same sale, I also picked up Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs by Caitlin Doughty. This is the last of her books, which I haven't read, and I believe this one is following Caitlin as she answers questions to all of these ridiculous and weird things she's been asked by little kids in regards to death. Caitlin Doughty is a cremator and mortician, and I just loved her other books. So thankfully, I am going to be reading this for Stabathon, and I can't wait. Then, the last one in that sale was The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I heard amazing things about this from Lou Reading Things and had to pick it up. I've really enjoyed everything I've read by Silvia Moreno Garcia thus far, and I think this is a historical fiction with a fantastical element or possibly magical realism. I believe this story is following our main character who has telekinetic abilities and ends up falling in love with a man who also has the same abilities and is some kind of a traveling entertainer, but it's frowned upon because I think she lives on the higher side of society and he's a traveling entertainer, so he's beneath her, but he starts to teach her how to better control her powers. I think that sounds right. Again, gorgeous cover, beautiful. I'm not even a little bit surprised. I really want to pick this one up soon. No idea when that's going to happen, but I really want to. Next up is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amel El Motar and Max Gladstone. I actually stole this from my dad. It wasn't really his cup of tea, but I think it's more up my alley. This is a sci-fi sapphic love story between these 2 people who are on opposite sides of a time war and interact in different points in time in letters or something, and one is red and one is blue. That's all I know. I've heard amazing things about this. It's pretty short, so actually if I do like a 24-hour readathon at some point, this would probably be perfect to pick up. We'll see whenever I get to it. Next up is one I actually grabbed at a library sale, which is why it's going to be all shiny and has stickers, but this is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. This is a multimedia mystery story in which I think it's about a man who was like this well-renowned director and he went missing? Is that even close to right? I have no— okay, actually took the time to read the back. Apparently it is about the daughter of a big name film director, Annunciate, who has recently died, but it's been ruled a suicide. However, our main investigator does not think it is and starts to actually look into it. Like I said, this has a multimedia aspect, which I'm really excited for. It is a little chunky, but because of the multimedia aspect, I think that will help to increase the pace of it and make me fly through it. I'm planning to read this one in October as well as a part of my Read My Shelves, so looking forward to that. I just realized I'm holding it backwards. After that one's gonna be Survive the Night by Riley Sager, and when did I buy this? Oh, I bought this when I was in Colorado for a business trip. This is the newest of Riley Sager's books. It has been making its rounds, definitely heard mixed reviews, but I still want to try it out for myself. This is set in the 80s? 90s. It doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those decades. This story is following our main character who lives at her college, but after her best friend is killed by a campus serial killer, ends up trying to find a rideshare to move back to Ohio, which honestly, who wants to move back to Ohio? I can say that. I lived there for 4 years. She manages to find somebody to drive her, but along the way, she starts to believe that this person in the car with her might actually be the campus killer. I am very apprehensive going into this one. I have 2 of Riley Sager's books that I really enjoyed, and then the other one was just okay, and then the last was the most disappointing for me. I'm really curious on where I'm gonna fall on that spectrum with this one. After I came back from that Colorado trip, I ran into this baby, A Good Day for Chardonnay by Dorinda Jones. This is the second book in the Sunshine Bikram series. I've talked about this so much. This story is following Sunshine, who is the newest elected sheriff in her small town that she grew up in after her parents meddle in the election. However, she ends up realizing that helping this small town is a lot more of a hassle than she thought it was going to be. She also has to deal with her teenage daughter, who is recently becoming obsessed with mysteries as well. Coupled with that, the fact that she is now running into her ex-flame Levi for the first time in years. I loved this so much. It was so entertaining. Can't wait to get my hands on the third one. Okay, then these last three are going to be my book of the month picks. First is The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova, and I believe this is a story following a group of women who, after going to the funeral of the matriarch in their family 5 years later, all start to showcase different powers, and that's about all I know. I was supposed to read this in September for a book club, and I did not get around to it because I was reading books for a video, and I'm very disappointed about it because I was really excited. Again, a absolutely gorgeous cover, but hopefully I will make time for this baby here soon. Then we have one I read quite a while back but finally decided to buy, and that's Beach Read by Emily Henry, and this is probably one of my favorite romance books for the time being. This story is following our main character, January, who after her father has recently passed away has moved into his summer cabin for a little bit and is trying to get past her writer's block, but she ends up discovering that her next door neighbor in the lake house is her rival from college, Augustus. I really loved this book. It was so entertaining. Emily Henry makes the most convincing romance characters. I'm so impressed with it. I can't wait for her next book, guys. It's Book Lovers and it comes out in May. I'm so excited for it. Anyway, I decided to pick this baby up from Book of the Month because actually I have the people we meet on vacation right here. Although usually I don't really care about matching books, I just think the spines of these two look very pleasing next to one another, and so I bought it. I'm definitely gonna reread this at some point. I'm already thinking about trying to reread both of these next summer, so I'm glad I have them on my shelves. All right, and then finally is The Love Hypothesis by 𝗖cie HDZ. This is following our main character, Olive, who kisses the first guy she sees after she has convinced her best friend that she is dating someone else so that her best friend will feel okay with dating Olive's ex-boyfriend. However, the guy she ends up kissing is the grouchiest professor in their department. Chaos ensues, honestly. This was a pretty entertaining read, and one thing I do think is very fun if you're a Star Wars fan is this is actually based on the author's Reylo fanfiction. While personally I do not ship Reylo, I will admit the two of them were pretty dang cute. So if that encourages you to read it or discourages you from reading it, take with that how you will. Okay. That is the haul portion, and I have a very precarious stack of books next to me now. Now let's jump into the unhaul part. I have no idea how I'm gonna go about unhauling these just yet. Part of me wants to do another little free library vlog, but also part of me wants to take them to half price books and get trade-in value. We'll see which one wins out. First up is Kite Runner by 𝗖cie RH. This one you might be saying, Nat, didn't you just haul that in the last one? Yes, I did. However, I really don't know if I'm ever gonna pick this up, mostly just because I don't know if I have the emotional wherewithal to go through this story, which I believe is following a young man living in Afghanistan. Yeah, I'm just too scared to read this. I've read more reviews since I initially picked this up, and I just don't know if I'll ever get around to it because it kind of terrifies me. Next is a collection of a few comics. Some of these are first, some of them are not, and for the majority I enjoyed them, but I don't really plan on continuing the series. Majority of the comic books that I do read, I tend to read the entire series, even though I've been very behind on keeping up with my comics, so please don't come at me. Eventually, I promise, I will read nothing but comics, like 1 month. I'll do it. I swear I will. Maybe. First up is Terror Titans, and I don't even know what volume this is because it doesn't have a number on it. I think somebody gave this to me for a gift at one point, and I did really enjoy this because the main story mostly focuses on Ravager, who is the daughter of Deathstroke, and I do really enjoy Rose as a character, but as I said, not really planning on continuing this particular title. Then we have Teen Titans Volume 6. I honestly have no idea which iteration this is because it's been quite a while since I read it. Also has Ravager and Kid Devil. I really like them. Also definitely ship those two. Then we have the new Suicide Squad Volume 1 as well, Pure Insanity. This was fun, but just don't feel that draw to continue the story. This honestly also kind of depressed me because my baby Vic Stone was in it. Not Vic Stone, that's not his name. Vic what? Or I won't find his full name, but basically the guy who was once upon a time Question, and now apparently in this he is a total jerk, and that made me sad because I really enjoy Question. Again, just not planning to continue the series. Then Wanted by Mark Miller. This story is following our main character Wesley, who one day after living his boring normal life, discovers that his father was actually the top assassin in this brotherhood and decides to take his place when a bunch of people start trying to kill him. It's definitely an entertaining read, but I just don't ever see myself rereading this one. It's also a lot darker than the movie. I didn't think that was really possible because the movie's fairly dark, but it still manages. These last few books are all books that I enjoyed, but I just don't really ever see myself rereading them, so I am going to free up the space on my shelves rather than keep them. First is Behind the Red Door by Megan Collins. I read this in August as a part of the Enneagram Readathon, and I buddy read it with Paige. I did have a great time reading this. It took a surprising twist and became more of a psychological thriller. I should tell you what this is about. Right. This story follows a young woman who sees on the news one day that this woman named Astrid has recently gone missing. This is actually the second time Astrid has gone missing because 20 years prior, she disappeared for, I think, a year, but was miraculously found, and now Astrid has gone missing again. Our main character is so certain she knows Astrid, but she has no memory of Astrid's disappearance in the past. Like I said, I enjoyed reading this. It's a very infectious thriller and making you uncomfortable and anxious, but again, just don't really see myself rereading it. Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero. I love this cover, so it does kind of pain me to get rid of it, but I just don't really see myself rereading it. Obviously, with the title like Meddling Kids, you have to think of Scooby-Doo, and this is following a group of people who were once upon a time a detective club, very reminiscent to Scooby-Doo, but it's about 15 years later and they are starting to come together to try and figure out the last case that never really sat well with any of them. And I did enjoy this. I really like Edgar Cantero's writing in this. It's so dark and creepy and atmospheric. It's lyrical and flowery, but in like the darkest way you can think of, with these really unusual similes and metaphors and things such as that just I don't feel like most people would think to use those things, but they work in this so well. Unfortunately, there's a few things here and there that are just a bit insensitive, and I wasn't really a big fan in the ending twist. It just felt a little uncomfortable. So as I said, I'm probably never going to reread this, but I enjoyed the reading experience up until the very end. Next up is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This is a historical fiction story which alternates between two time periods. The first following Caroline in current time, who's recently gone to London to escape her marriage for a little bit and ends up finding this apothecary bottle and decides to explore the history behind it. At the same time, we also follow Nella, who ran said apothecary, in which she would provide women with different tinctures and also poisons to take care of problematic men in their lives. I did enjoy this. I think a lot of people were expecting it to be more thrillery and killing style. It's definitely historical fiction and more feminist vibes, which I enjoyed, but again, probably never going to reread. I didn't love it that much. It's also a totally beautiful book, and I am sad that this gorgeous thing won't be on my shelves anymore, but I hope that somebody else will fall in love with it more than I did. Finally, we have The Hunting Wives by May Cobb, and this is a domestic thriller following our main character who's recently moved to this small town in Texas. She ends up getting dragged into this group of affluent ladies who all call themselves the Hunting Wives and go out shooting guns, and drama ensues. This is a fun time. I did really enjoy this book, although the main character drove me insane. But that being said, I don't really see myself ever rereading it, although it was a fun ride. So I'm hoping I can give this to somebody else to possibly find a new fave thriller, and you know, somebody out there who loves domestic thrillers much more than I do. Okay, that was a lot of books. As always, thank you so much for coming to my channel today, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!